Thank you guys for joining. It's so great to be here at ClickBank Summit 2025. Today I want to take you guys on a journey where your passion becomes not just a hobby, but a profitable, scalable brand and business. But before we get to that, my name is Chris Kubby. I'm the CEO of kubb&co, or a social media agency located in Europe and North America. I'm not only the CEO of the company, I'm also a content creator and influencer, even though I don't particularly like that word. But I think it's kind of appropriate to use in this context because we're all in the game of influencing, right? So now you might be wondering, why the hell should I be listening to this guy, this bearded guy? There's so many of these types of dudes on the internet trying to teach people about marketing. And I agree, it's a pandemic of bearded podcast hosts and marketing gurus out there. So let me give you a little bit of background on who I am and why I'm here. So first of all, a little about my story. I started in marketing at an early age. At 12 years old, I was begging my parents to buy me this book titled 100 Jobs in Advertising. And I read that book cover to cover. I learned about account managers and copywriters, and I was a weird kid. But it was my first taste of my experience in marketing. And as I grew up, I continued that journey. I worked both for agencies and brands, and eventually I ventured into becoming a content creator before that was even a thing. There I am, a very cute 12-year-old, by the way. Nice glasses, nice tie, by the way. So basically creating vlogs and videos and social media content. I just love creating. It wasn't about making money back then. It was about expressing myself and trying to help others with their social media and their business goals. But I realized that that passion alone wasn't enough. I had to learn how to structure my creativity into a system that worked for my life, my goals, and today that's what I'm going to show you guys. So I'm really excited about that. So here's a few things about me, but you can see my content there. So we're talking about taking your passions into profits. And by the end of this session, you'll have the tools, the motivation, and most importantly, the clarity to build your own brand and turn your passions into profit. Ready? Let's go. I want to start with the foundation, the content equation. This formula has guided me for many years. So it's about taking your passion. It's what gives your work the energy, adding your strategy. That's what ensures your content will resonate and serves a purpose. And then adding systems. This is how you make it consistent and scalable and doesn't burn you out so that you can reach your dream state, right? I know I've got a Lambo up here, or maybe it's I don't know what it is. It's probably a Lambo. So in other words, the things that you want. Maybe you want a Lambo, maybe you want to change your life, but essentially this is your dream state. It could be freedom from your 9-to-5 job, or it could be that beautiful house on the beach, or more time with your family and to take care of your family, whatever it is. When you have these three elements aligned, passion, strategy, and systems, you're not just creating content, you're building a business, you're building your dream state. If these things aren't aligned, you'll find yourself aimless, overwhelmed, and unprofitable. And we don't want that. You don't want that. I don't want that. So I'm going to break down each part of the equation, but first, a little pit stop. Setting goals and expectations, right? So let's start with goals before we get into the breakdown of the content equation, which is going to help you guys. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, goals, okay, I've heard this before, it's way too basic, but stay with me, right? So the reality is, without goals, it's like you're driving without a map. Waste time, you waste energy, you waste resources. But I have a weird way of looking at goals that I want to share with you guys today. So when I first started, my goal wasn't to make $1 million or even $5 million. It was simple. Create one piece of valuable content every day. The goal was specific, measurable, and achievable. And guess what? That habit built the foundation for my entire business. Think about what you want to achieve. Is it growing your audience? Is it monetizing your content? Define it and break it down into the milestones that don't overwhelm you. But here's the kicker. You have to expect roadblocks. You're going to get tired. Algorithms will change, sometimes daily, and sometimes your content just won't land. That's okay. Goals are your anchor, not your cage. And then remember this, achieving goals don't just happen. You find nuggets of success along the way. If you're not finding these nuggets, you're probably doing something wrong and you need to fix it. Let's talk about the SMART goal framework. Here's a framework that works for me. You might have heard of SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Specific, what exactly do you want to achieve? Measurable, can you track the progress? Achievable, is it even realistic? Relevant, does it align with your broader goals? And then time-bound, what is the actual deadline? So for example, instead of saying, I want more followers, try this. I want to grow my TikTok audience by 30% in the next 6 months. See the difference? It's clear, it's focused, it's trackable. Take a moment right now, jot down one SMART goal that you can work on after this summit. Make it specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. The next part is building systems for consistency. Let's talk about systems. Passion gives you energy, but systems gives you consistency, and consistency is key if you want to reach your goals. When I started scaling my content, I realized something. I couldn't do it all myself. There simply weren't enough hours in the day, so I had to build systems. First, I created a content calendar, a simple tool that helped me plan ahead. No more scrambling to come up with content ideas last minute, right? Some of you might have experienced that yourself. Then I automated repetitive tasks like tools like scheduling platforms, AI copy assistants. These things have saved me hours, so really use that automation if you can. And then finally, I outsourced. I hired freelancers for tasks like editing, graphic design, and analytics. Sure, those things cost a little bit of money up front, but it freed up my time to focus on what I do best, which is creating. Fiverr is a great place to start when it comes to outsourcing. It's normally pretty cheap, it's pretty good, so I would recommend that. On top of this, I was still running my company. I run an ad agency, and that was getting more and more time consuming. So how many of you are sitting there still doing everything yourself? It's time to let go a little bit and let systems work for you. And I'll be totally honest, there were many times I fell off this wagon, stopped creating content, stopped following the systems I put in place, and guess what? My business suffered, my content suffered, my online presence suffered. So you'd think that spending more time on the business would actually have resulted in better profits or revenue. Nope, that wasn't the case. Content is key to keeping interest high in your products, your services, and of course in you as well. So one of the most significant systems you can put in place is actually time blocking. So if you don't schedule specific times when you're going to be creating content, delegating tasks, reviewing edits, communicating with your audience, you will fail. If you only make content when the mood strikes you, you will fail. So set aside time, use time blocking. You need to build your content creation muscle. It's like a muscle in the gym, right? It needs set aside time to be worked on, to grow, and time to rest. If you approach it like a routine, you will see incredible results. So set aside time in your calendar for content creation and all the things around it, and stick to that schedule. It's okay if you fall off the wagon. We all do, as I did. Just make sure that you get back up quickly. Don't let days slip by. Don't let days slip by. So let's talk about scaling without losing your soul. So here's the challenge. How do you scale your content creation? How do you scale your business activities without losing that authenticity? The answer is balance. Automate the tasks that don't need your personal touch, like scheduling, but always stay connected to your audience. Reply to comments, share stories, be human. Remember, people follow people, not robots. So stick to that. On top of that, you need to remember to take breaks. But here's the challenge. How do you scale without losing that authenticity? This is something that I've wrestled with personally. When you start automating and outsourcing, there's always the risk of becoming too detached. Suddenly, the content that once felt personal can start to feel corporate. So how do you avoid that? Let's break this into actionable steps for you. 1, keep your voice consistent. No matter how many people or tools you involve, your voice needs to shine through. Whether it's a tweet, a TikTok, a newsletter, your audience still should feel like it's you talking to them. To do this, I really recommend you create what's called a voice guide. Think of it as your content Bible. It includes the words and phrases you always use, your tone preference. Are you formal? Are you witty? Are you conversational? Right? It also should include the values that should come across in every piece of content. Right? Share this guide with your team or the freelancers that you work with so they're clear on how to represent your brand. And don't just hand it off and disappear. Review drafts of content, review drafts of work, add personal touches before hitting publish. This has saved me so many times of putting out stuff that just didn't make the mark. I really, really recommend you make sure you approve every single thing and add your personal touch. Number 2, show up regularly. Automation is great, but nothing replaces you showing up. Post a video of yourself talking to your audience, reply to your comments and DMs, jump on live streams every now and then, or if you're a big time live streamer, do that more and more often if you love doing that. For example, I might schedule a week of posts, but I always make time to personally engage with the comments on those posts. That's where the real connections happen. Quick question, how many of you are actually replying to DMs or comments right now? If you're not, you're leaving connection and loyalty on the table. So make sure that you're connecting with the people that are trying to engage with you. It's like somebody's talking to you and you're just completely stonewalling them. Don't be that guy. Don't be that girl. Number 3, build a feedback loop with your audience. Scaling doesn't mean dictating from the top down. Make your audience part of the journey. Ask them questions. What do you want to see more of? What challenges are you facing? Polls, Q&A boxes, and direct messages aren't just engagement tactics. They're gold mines for content ideas. Use those gold mines. The best part, when your audience sees you responding to their needs, they feel valued. And when they feel valued, they stick with you. So really engage. Build that feedback loop. Next is be transparent. I love this little trust fall action there. Scaling sometimes requires tough decisions like outsourcing or automating parts of your work, but be open about this with your audience. For example, I'm so grateful for the growth this community has seen. To keep bringing value, I've brought on some amazing people to help with the editing and the posting, but don't worry, every post you see from me is still me at the core. So transparency builds that trust. Trust builds loyalty. So be transparent with it. Next, prioritize storytelling over perfection. Another common pitfall when scaling is focusing too much on polished, perfect content. Yes, quality matters, and more than ever, but what matters more? The story. Your audience doesn't need you to be perfect, they need you to be relatable. Show them the messy middle is what we call it. Share the oops moments, share the F-ups. That's what keeps them coming back, right? One time I posted a behind the scenes video of me completely messing up a script. My audience loved it. They commented things like, I'm glad I'm not the only one and that video built more trust than any polished piece of content could. So I really recommend the messy middle. Go for it. Next, you got to tell stories, right? The power of stories really matters. Think about it. From the time we were kids, we were captivated by stories. Stories engage us on a deep, deep level because they make us feel something. You got to make people feel something. So when you tell a story, your audience isn't just watching or listening. They're imagining themselves in your shoes. They're connecting to the emotions you're sharing. So don't leave that part out. And the best part about storytelling is the story doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. In fact, it's kind of the imperfect stories that are the ones that often stick with us. But there's been a massive shift in how stories are told, and I'm going to show you guys what that shift is here. TikTok has actually completely reshaped storytelling by prioritizing instant engagement. In a world of endless scrolling, you can't afford to build suspense slowly anymore. Instead, you need to tease the end result up front, give people a reason to stick around. Think of it like this: instead of saying, I learned something amazing today, you say, here's how I tripled my engagement in 1 week. This hooks the audience with the payoff right from the start. And on social media, your audience needs to know what's in it for them before they commit even 15 seconds to your story, or even 2 seconds to your story, right? So you got to have that up front. Now, when it comes to compelling storytelling, I already told you, share the messy middle. People love to see the journey, not just the destination. If all you ever share is the polished end result, it feels unattainable. Instead, show them the messy middle, the moments when things weren't going according to plan. We all had that. This vulnerability makes your audience root for you. You want that. Think of all the heroes' journeys that you've seen where the hero is perfect from the beginning. It doesn't work, right? So here's how you have to apply that. Document your process even when it's not going smoothly. Turn mistakes into teachable moments. Add captions or voiceovers to explain what went wrong. and what you learned. Number 2, I already mentioned the hero's journey, but use the hero's journey framework. Every great story has a hero. And guess what? In your story, that hero is you or your audience. So really use this. The hero's journey framework works because it's basically universal. It goes like this if you don't know it. The hero faces a challenge, they struggle and learn, they overcome, and they grow. And when you share your journey using this structure, it actually pulls people in. They see themselves in your struggles and they cheer for your successes. So for example, when I first started scaling my content, I felt completely overwhelmed. There were days when I'd stare at my to-do list and think, there's no way I can keep up. But instead of quitting, I found small ways to simplify. Your audience doesn't want you to be a superhero. They want you to be a human. They want you to be like them, just slightly better. So here's how you can apply it. Identify a challenge you faced and overcome. Share that struggle honestly with them, but end with a solution or an insight that they can use. Keep it real. Don't sugarcoat the tough parts. And number 3, make it about them. Here's the golden rule about storytelling. It's not really about you. It's about how your story can inspire, teach, or connect with your audience. For example, if you're sharing a story about a mistake you made, frame it like this. Here's what I learned so you don't have to go through the same thing. Or if you're sharing a success story, say, if I can do this, you can too. Let me show you how. People love that stuff. Every story should give your audience something, whether that's knowledge, encouragement, or just a laugh. So here's how you can apply that. End every story with a takeaway for your audience. Use phrases like, have you ever felt this way? To invite them into the narrative, or have you ever felt this way as well? Create polls or prompts to let them share their own stories in response as well. That really helps. Keep it short and focused. Not every story needs to be an epic saga. In fact, some of the most impactful stories are short and sweet. Editing is your friend, as the guys behind the camera here know. For example, one time I shared a quick Instagram post about a client pitch that we completely flopped. I simply wrote, we blew it, totally bombed the pitch, but here's the thing. We learn more from that failure than we ever could have from success. Here's what we're doing different next time. That post took 10 minutes to write, but it resonated deeply. Why? Because it was honest, it was real, and it taught something valuable in just a few sentences. So here's how you can apply that. Focus on one moment or lesson per story. Trim the fluff, stick to just the facts, just what matters. Don't try to pile in a bunch of other stuff. Use visuals and captions, of course, to enhance that impact. Next tip for storytelling, inject humor and personality into your stories. Stories don't have to be all serious. Humor is such a powerful tool. In my agency, we say humor is 100% more humorous. And that's completely true, right? Once I shared a story about accidentally sending a draft tweet instead of the final version, right? I think we've all probably done this, sent something out that was not done. And it was full of typos and absolutely made no sense. Instead of panicking, I laughed it off and turned it into a funny Instagram story. The result is my audience got a good laugh, and it reminded them that even professionals make mistakes. So don't be afraid to poke fun at yourself. It makes you relatable and approachable. So here's how you can apply it. Share funny or awkward moments from your journey. Use self-deprecating humor sparingly. It shows your humility without undermining your credibility, but don't go too far. You still want to be the hero, not the goofy sidekick. Add GIFs, memes, or playful captions to lighten the mood. Remember, your audience doesn't need you to be perfect, they need you to be relatable. Stories that show your humanity, your challenges, your growth, are what people keep coming back for. They inspire trust, loyalty, and connection. So keep that going. So the next time you're tempted to edit out all the imperfections, don't. Leave them in. Embrace them, because the imperfections are where the magic happens. So a little homework for you. What's one imperfect story you could share today? Think about it and then share it. You might be surprised by the response. Okay, now stay grounded in your why. At the end of the day, scaling is about impact, but never forget why you started in the first place. What's the core mission behind your content? You might know Simon Sinek's start with why. Many parts of it I don't like, and you can see a video I made about it on my YouTube channel where I kind of break it down. But there's one thing that I do like, and it's about finding your core reason. So for me, it's storytelling, helping people find their voice and growing their brand. And whenever I feel a little overwhelmed, maybe disconnected, I revisit that mission and it recenters me. So think about your why, write it down, keep it somewhere visible, print it on a poster, and hang it on your wall. This is not my wall, this is AI, but it could be my wall. Because your why is your North Star. It'll guide you when things are hectic and tough. So scaling doesn't mean losing your soul. It's about finding that balance between efficiency, connection, between automation, and also authenticity. If you can stay true to your voice, involve your audience, and ground yourself in your mission, you'll grow in a way that feels right, not robotic. What's one thing you can start doing today to scale while staying authentic? Write it down. Let's commit to keeping the soul in scaling. Now let's dive into some content trends for 2025 that I wanted to share with you guys so you can start making great content. What works in 2025? Of course, short form video, you cannot escape that. Interactive content, and of course, community-driven storytelling. Let's talk a little bit about short form video. TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts are dominating attention spans. Why? Because they're quick, engaging, algorithmic friendly. But here's the trick, don't just follow the trends and jump on them, because you want to be able to bring value still, but you need to do it in a relatable way that creates sales. And I call this the life leadership method. I know this sounds counterintuitive, but don't just educate your audience like I'm doing now. Sorry, do what I say, not what I do. I'm that kind of leader. Share content about you, the places, the people, the passions in your life. Share content about your unique ways of doing things and why those are the best ways, and give your audience an identity to aspire to. This is the life leadership model. Now, next, interactive content. This is where your audience becomes part of the narrative. Use polls, Q&A, and challenges to engage your community. One of my favorite tactics is crowdsourcing ideas from my followers. And it gives them a sense of ownership and loyalty. So really work on that. Finally, community-driven content. Today's audiences don't want to just consume, they actually want to belong to something. So give them a space to connect, share behind-the-scenes moments, highlight your fans. When your audience feels seen, they stick around. So what's one trend you've been curious about but haven't tried yet? Write it down, schedule it on your calendar that we talked about so you can take action on it after this session. Some do's and don'ts of content creation. So let me simplify content creation with some quick do's and don'ts. Do, focus on what your audience cares about, not just what you want to share. Stay authentic. Your unique voice is your superpower in content creation. Experiment. Some of the best content ideas come from trying something new. Don't chase every trend blindly. It can confuse your brand identity. How many times have you seen people that just get into every single trend and you don't know what they stand for? Don't also overthink production quality. Sometimes raw and real outperforms polished and perfect. Yes, content is getting more and more cinematic and overly produced, but I still see selfie-style videos dominating. Don't let the algorithms dictate your creativity. Algorithms are tools, not rules. Every successful creator I know embraces these principles. Are you ready to commit to them? So we've talked a lot about the equation here, and I'm leaving with the last part of it. So do what you love. Let's talk about the heart of it all, passion. I wanted to share the most important part with you here. Without passion, content creation can feel like a grind. But when you align your work with what you love, everything changes. For me, my passion has always been storytelling, like I mentioned before, whether it's through a viral video or a simple tweet. I'm driven by the joy of just connecting with people and, of course, telling those stories. So think about what you love doing. Is it cigars? Here, there's a picture of me smoking cigars. I happen to love cigars. And that's why I bring it up. Is it dog care? Is it art? Is it movies? Is it golf? Is it family activities? What is it that you love? Lean into that. Passion will give you energy, and that passion is infectious. So don't just find something that earns you money. This will not attract your audience because it won't be real. But here's the key. Passion doesn't mean ignoring strategy. It means using strategy to amplify what you love. When you align your passion with your goals, the results are magical. So right now, Write down your number one passion. What are you most passionate about? How to monetize this audience and your social media presence, right? So now let's talk about turning your followers into dollars. Growing an audience is one thing, but creating revenue streams from that audience, that's where you can really change your life. But here's the reality. Having 10,000 highly engaged followers is way more valuable than 100,000 who don't give a crap. Why? Because monetization isn't about numbers, it's about relationships. The deeper the trust between you and your audience, the easier it is for you to create offers that they actually want to buy. So you need to know, first and foremost, understand your audience's needs. The first step in monetization is actually understanding your audience's pain points, their desires, their interests. Why do they follow you? What problems are they trying to solve? And here's how you find it out. So engage with their comments and DMs. Listen to what they're asking for. Run polls, surveys, and gather insights directly. And analyze your most popular posts to see actually what is resonating the most. For example, if you're a fitness creator and your audience is constantly asking for meal plans, there's your monetization opportunity. Create a downloadable guide or subscription service that solves their problems. Now, diversify your revenue streams. Relying on just one income source is super risky. Instead, think of your social media as a hub with multiple revenue streams. Here are some of the most effective ways to monetize. Number one, or A, sponsored content. Partner with brands that align with your niche. This is really important. Keep your sponsored posts authentic. Your audience can tell if you're just cashing in, right? For example, a travel influencer partnering with a sustainable luggage brand. Just makes sense, right? Do stuff that makes sense. Affiliate marketing, ClickBank, yeah. Share products or services you genuinely use and love, earning a commission on every sale, right? It's really important you find stuff that aligns. C, digital products, so create and sell ebooks, courses, or templates based on your expertise. These can be a great thing. So for example, a photographer selling Lightroom presets or a content creator offering a TikTok growth course. These things can fuel your revenue. Physical products or merch. Develop branded products that your audience will love. I don't recommend this until you're big, but a creator launching a line of apparel with their catchphrase or designs. You can do these so easy nowadays with different print companies. So I recommend that, but only for the, when you get to a certain level. E, memberships or subscriptions. So offer exclusive content through platforms like Patreon or YouTube memberships or subscriptions on all the platforms now I think have subscriptions basically. So for example, you can offer behind the scenes videos, monthly live Q&A sessions, or personalized advice. And F, events or workshops. Host in-person or virtual events, teaching your audience something valuable or letting them see a little bit behind the scenes. For example, a cooking influencer hosting live cooking classes, that could be really nice. And then we got G, paid communities. So create private groups where members pay for exclusive access to you or other benefits. For example, a career coach creating a paid Slack group for job seekers to network and share resources could work really well. But here's the thing, right? You have to sell without being salesy. One of the biggest fears creators have is coming off as salesy. Here's how to avoid that. Focus on value, right? Always lead with benefit to your audience. Instead of saying, buy my course, say, here's how my course can save you hours of frustration. Be transparent. Let your audience know why you're promoting something. Authenticity builds trust. For example, I partner with this brand because I use their products daily and I love them. So blend promotion with storytelling as well. Like instead of making a hard sell, weave your product into a relatable story. For example, a wellness influencer could say, I used to feel exhausted every afternoon until I started using X supplement, right? Tell them about what you're using, tell them what you're doing. Next up, build a funnel to capture leads. So monetization doesn't always happen directly on social media. It often starts there and ends somewhere else, right? So this is where your sales funnel comes in. And here's a basic structure. I mean, this is such old marketing, but attract, so use your social media to hook people in. This could be a viral post, this could be a number of posts, helpful video, or a valuable free resource. Capture, so direct your audience to an email list or landing page to collect their contact information. You want to start to own your list. Offer them something in exchange, like a free ebook, a template, a webinar, whatever that is. So conversion, right? Once they're in your ecosystem, nurture them with value-packed emails or additional free content before introducing your paid offer. Why does this work? Because email lists or other owned platforms give you much more control, right? Unlike social media algorithms, no one can take away your email list. Yes, you can lose subscribers, but that's for everything. Now, engage. Monetization doesn't just happen because you have a great product or great partnerships. It happens because your audience feels connected to you. So make sure, I mentioned this before, reply to comments and DMs, right? The more personal your interactions are, the more trust you build and the more you can monetize that. Ask for feedback. Show your audience you care about their opinions, especially when you're creating new products, especially when you're starting to try to monetize it, right? You really need to see what's working and what's not. Show gratitude. Publicly thank your supporters or highlight testimonials of them using your product. This connection makes people more likely to support you when you launch something new, and you probably will. Stay consistent in your content creation. It's the foundation of your trust and visibility. Remember, relationships are long-term investments. The more you nurture them, the stronger they grow. So monetizing your social media presence isn't just about making money. It's about creating value for your audience when you're aligning your passions, your expertise, and when it's done right, it's not just profitable, it's actually super meaningful. So ask yourself, what does your audience need right now? How can you meet that need in a way that feels authentic to you and to them? The opportunities are endless. You just need to take the first step, but you have to remember, this takes time. You're not going to be a millionaire tomorrow. The formula for success, right? We've covered a lot today. Setting goals, building systems, understanding trends, staying true to your passion. Let's kind of try to bring it all together, right? This is the formula. Passion plus strategy plus systems equals your dream state. It's not going to be easy. It takes time, effort, and consistency. But if you commit to this formula, you'll build something extraordinary, something that aligns with your values and serves your audience. Now it's time for the action. What's one step you'll take today after the summit, not now because I want you to keep watching, to move closer to your goals? Write it down, commit to it, because success doesn't happen tomorrow, but it starts today. And your story matters. Your passion matters. Don't let doubt, fear, and these algorithms hold you back. And if you're ready to take the next step, connect with me. Let's continue this journey together. So thank you from me. Thank you for your time, your energy, your curiosity, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the summit. Adios, amigos.